All right, guys. I always hate that little delay in between, but welcome to our last show for the new until the new year. I think this is going to be something that is going to be really relevant, and I think that we need to pay attention to these predictions because this is something that I've done a lot of research on to try and figure out what is going to happen over the next year and how are we going to be relevant. So my idea of what's going to happen over 2022 and what does it have in store for us is going to be something that I think will be relevant to each and every one of the agents that tunes into us on a regular basis. And I want you to make sure that as you're working through this process, that we are successful in how we do things. So, number one, interest rates are going to fluctuate. This is going to be a big deal. The Fed chairman has remained the same. This means that we have an idea of what's going to happen over the next year. And because those interest rates have not fluctuated too much, why I'm thinking that interest rates are going to fluctuate quite a bit over the next year is because we're changing a lot of things in the actual stock market. Money's moving around pretty substantially. And with that movement, what ends up happening is we end up having a tremendous amount of movement on interest rates because people are trying to make more money. Now, how does that work for you? And how does that benefit or change what you look at every single day is a conversation that with interest rates moving and fluctuating back and forth, that means that affordability changes. And affordability changing means that you're going to have a client that may have qualified for 300,000 last month, but this month they're only going to qualify for, let's say, 280. That means that they may have bought a house at 300 or anticipated buying a house at 300, and now they can only buy a 280. And this is why that I do feel that the lack of inventory in certain markets is going to change dramatically. Now, what does that mean to you? Think about it. Once again, you have the basis, and I apologize, my director is shifting cameras on me a little bit, but you have a basis that you had a house at $300,000. Well, now the lack of inventory is going to happen in that 200 to 250 to 280 bracket, because what's going to happen is there was a lot of people qualified at 350. Now, keep in mind, I'm talking about El Paso markets. Everybody else is going to have a little bit different in price point, but the same thing's going to happen. The large majority of income tends to fall in a certain range. So in our market, that tends to happen between 250 and 300. So as those people that used to qualify for 300 now can qualify for only 280, 260, 250, that's going to mean that the houses that are at 250, 260 are going to dwindle on inventory quickly, meaning their price point is going to go up. So the houses that are worth 250 today will go up in price up into the range of 280, 290. But what that means is that now we need to fill that void, if you will. And that's going to happen by pushing the inventory that's right now sitting at 180, 190 into that 200 to 250 bracket. So the market's going to shift a little bit at a certain price bracket. The higher ended stuff, I still think is going to stay where it's at because a lot of people don't qualify for $500, $600, $700,000 in our market. And what that means to everybody out there is that we just need to make sure that our focused marketing goes to the right place. Everybody loves to go after luxury listings, but luxury listings don't move and don't necessarily put food on the table whenever you have a market that's moving in a certain price bracket. So that other item that I do feel is that prices will continue to move up in that price bracket. And I think that this is certainly a big deal right now because as those prices tend to move, you're going to have a segment of inventory that's going to be very light, meaning that those prices will move at a very rapid pace. So if you own a home that's in that 250 to 300 bracket, it may be a really good time to start talking about getting it on the market or talking to your clients about getting it on the market right now because that price bracket is going to move substantially fast. And then maybe upgrading them into a higher ended home, that 350, 400, 500,000, because that price bracket I don't think is going to move as substantially as you may anticipate. So I think that that's going to be a great marketing tool. That's one of the things that I'm going after is figuring out where do I need to move my marketing types of homes, areas of homes, stuff like that. Agent counts. So this is substantial. Every year around January, when dues come due, a lot of agents have not made enough money to stay in the business. So they start to get out of the business. And with agent counts going down, there's going to be a lot of inventory that will be left abandoned because their license did not take care of it. So this would be a great time to look for things like expireds or things that are withdrawn, conversations like that. Because listen, an agent going out of the business and a broker taking over a transaction, doesn't always go well. And these may be some great opportunities for you doing things like expired or withdrawn listings and having that conversation. So make sure that you're thinking about that, at least keeping it on the radar, because I think the agent count will go down substantially. I estimate somewhere in the range of 200 to 300 agents over the next 6 to 10 months, because people aren't going to be making enough money. Listen, I'm having to work harder for the listings that we're getting today than I did in the past. And that's the same way for everybody else as well. So those are the primary predictions that I have for the next 18 months. I think that these things are going to happen pretty relevant. And I think that they're going to be something that we need to make sure that we're paying attention to, because if we don't pay attention to it now, we're going to end up having a big issue over time. So make sure that you take a few moments and kind of look at what you anticipate is going to happen, because remember, understanding the market and understanding what is going to happen is how you get ahead of it. It's that pivoting function. If you can pivot to the right place in a market, you can be successful. You can have success throughout. So make sure that you're taking that time and that energy to actually invest in your business through knowledge, through reading places like Inman, through reading places like Keeping Current Matters, from just getting industry knowledge. We have some great stuff coming up in El Paso. There's a Tom Ferry event happening in January that is a free event for all MLS members. Make sure you're attending those types of things. Tom Ferry is a great resource to actually get great content on how to market your business. He is all about digital marketing and knowing how to do things in the marketplace. So these are great avenues. Anytime you see a webinar online, make sure that you're tuning in. I don't always give the best knowledge, but I think that at least I'm giving some relevant knowledge, and it is worth taking 5 to 15 minutes of your Monday to tune in here, because these types of informational bases may give you a insight as to what you think or don't think will happen for the next year. And the same thing goes for Mike Ferry, Tom Ferry, Jared James, all these amazing coaches. They have one thing, and that is they're going to encourage you to grow your business. Now, it's your business. And remember, it's not just about sales, because a lot of times we only pay attention to the sales part of our business, but it's a business and we need to be successful with it. So as we go through, guys, just make sure that you're taking time and taking energy every single day to gain knowledge, because if you gain knowledge, at the end of the day, everything will be successful. And those are my predictions for 2022. So we'll see what actually happens and what doesn't happen next year. See you.